Okay folks, back at Cabot Circus again, and this week I'm watching the 2017 soft reboot of The Mummy, starring Russell Crowe and with Tom Cruise as the lead protagonist. Now a lot of people are po-poing this, saying, you know, it's an awful movie, it's going to be a train wreck. But keep in mind, these are the same critics who some 18 years ago thought the Blair Witch Project was Oscar-worthy. Yeah. It's been 18 years since the Stephen Sommers movie with Rachel Weisz, Brendan Fraser, and Arnold Vosloo. And, you know, folks, when I saw that originally in '99, that thing was epic. You know, there's no two ways about it. But what can they do 18 years later with updated tech and the way movies are done these days? In 2 hours, you'll know my answer. Later. You've reached the spoiler review for The Mummy, and as usual, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to click off if you've come into this thinking this is the spoiler-free review and don't want it spoiled before you go to see it for yourself. Okay, let's get going. Writing. As I said in the spoiler-free review, this movie really seems to have a little bit of an identity crisis. It doesn't really know what tone it's going for. It doesn't know if it's trying to be comedic. It doesn't know if it's trying to be dramatic. And you get these, you know, the horror elements are done well. Very tame for a 15 certificate in the UK. I'm presuming that's TV-14 in America. One of the things I was not particularly that fond of was the way that Arminette's character was essentially playing secondary portion, if you will, to Tom Cruise's Nick Morton. Now, I know there's a couple of people that complain about the names. It's like, it's a name, you know. He could be called, you know, Nick Van Heltzer Weltenstop. And as long as he gives a decent performance, who gives a damn? Seriously. Again, not particularly a huge fan of the way she was played as a secondary character, considering she is the titular character, because the sole focus is on Tom Cruise's character, Nick, who essentially becomes fused with the god of death, Set, who's meant to be evil incarnate. And the movie, he goes through this struggle, there's my watch again, he goes through this struggle of maintaining a sense of morality. And I think they're trying to set up the idea for future movies that his humanity is going to struggle with what's already in him, even though he did 2 noble acts in saving Jenny's life and resurrecting her towards the end of the movie. And you see this creepy physical aspect, where you see, like, you know, disfigurement of his facial features and fangs, which I thought, okay, that ain't creepy. And I noticed little elements from An American Werewolf in London, where Vale is contacting him because he's the only one that can see him because of the fact he's cursed. It reminded me of that particular exchange between David Norton's character and his friend who got iced by a werewolf out on the moors. It reminded me of that little exchange and camaraderie. But then he was secondly having his strings pulled by Arminette as a means to get Nick to, you know, go out and, you know, finish the ritual and what have you. Let's get the actress's name. Sophia Boutella, I think she turned in a really decent performance. You really get the whole otherworldly creepiness with her. I don't think you needed to add the multiple eyeballs within her eye sockets. I think that was just going a little too far. Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll, I really liked the duality of his role, in the sense of you could see this as a man who was struggling with his own morality and his own darkness within him. But I will say, with regards to the Hyde portion of his role, in terms of how he was visually represented, I think the visual effects and the prosthetics could have done more, rather than just turning his skin grey and giving him contact lenses, or, you know, eyes that were altered digitally in post-production. So, in terms of how he projected his voice and how he took on a very Cockney-styled way of speaking, as opposed to his very suave and sophisticated manner in which he dictated himself as Henry Jekyll, you know, he got that perfect, but I think they could have done more with the visual representation of the duality, because all they essentially did was just grade his skin up and gave him some yellow monster eyes, which I'm like, you know, come on guys, this is a big budget, you really could have done more. I'm just saying. I'm not saying we need to have him Hulk size, which is, you know, which Dr. Jekyll is actually what the Hulk was based on, mixed in with a little bit of Frankenstein, but it could have done with something more. And that's why I felt was a little bit disappointing with that role. Tom Cruise, you know, a lot of people are po-poing this movie and his performance. I enjoyed what I saw from him. Personally, it's not as good as Top Gun, or the role that he played in Night and Day, which I felt was kind of parodying a lot of spy movies, which I think he did brilliantly in that movie. I don't know why that one gets narked on. Vanilla Sky, we don't talk about. No, 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 no. That movie was crap. Although the irony is, struggle to remember her name now. The lady, I think her name was Penelope Cruz. She was actually in the original of Vanilla Sky and reprises her, you know, plays her role again in the English-speaking version. So I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, that movie, aside from her being in both of them, that movie sucked. But again, I mean, Tom Cruise did well with the material he was given with. He has a lot of moxie, charisma, and the panache to pull it off as a guy who's, you know, he's trying to find that spark of decency within him, and he has a nice little comedic way of bringing that out, and it's something that I think he needs to do more of, because he does have the moxie and the swagger to pull it off. They just need to really give him that material to work with. And as I mentioned with Top Gun, even though that movie's 31 years young, they're actually filming the sequel finally next year. I love The Rock. Rock in Top Gun. Oh, that'd be something. Again, performances were fine. But the biggest problem this movie has is just the tone. The pacing was fine. I felt that the movie never slowed down and kept you interested enough to actually care about what's going on. But it would have been nice if they could just picked just one tone and stuck with it. What else to cover? Oh yeah, little thing I noticed, one insert shot had the Book of Ra, which, as most people remember from the first Mummy movie, was the Book of the Living. And the writers have actually said this movie series is actually set within that same Stephen Sommers universe. So, yeah, that's getting annoying. So I like that fact that little Easter egg was there. Whether or not the O'Connells and Imhotep are going to be referenced, I don't know. As I said in the spoiler-free review, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, we don't acknowledge that one. It's one of those movies like Jurassic Park 3 or Superman 3 and 4. We don't acknowledge their existence. It's like, oh, what about Jurassic Park 3? What about it? Just saying. I don't know where this is going to go, because they're trying to make it like Avengers style, with the idea of Henry Jekyll essentially getting all these monsters up together. For what singular purpose, I don't know at this particular stage. Because apparently Dracula Untold was supposed to be the one to kick off the cinematic universe for Universal Pictures' Dark Universe. And apparently Dracula Untold is now being labelled as non-canon, which I think is a shame personally, because I feel like Luke Evans gave such a decent representation of the character. Not, representing him as the monster, but he's represented with a lot of humanity. Because it's actually nice for a change to have the character not represented as the villain, per se. Even though, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of the way the character's done. But it's like I said, every now and then you got to put your own fresh take on it, Don't do what has been done before, because otherwise what is the point of making these movies if you're just going to do what has been done before? So, yeah. And here's the thing, as I mentioned in the spoiler-free, I don't know why people narc on the idea of calling it a dark universe. Here's the thing, free of charge people, what would you have called it, Would you have called it, the darker side of night, or the dark world? Well, you can't really call that, because that was Thor 2. Would you have called it, and you can't call it After Dark, because that's my movie, that's my Halloween movie series, so hands off that one, folks, hands off. But, the people that complain about it's like, well, don't watch it then, I don't have a problem with it. It's a cinematic universe that has dark elements with horror movie characters. What did you expect it to be called? I mean, seriously, you ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer. Simple thing is, don't go asking stupid questions like that. Just saying. On a lighter note of this rather dark setting, I'm going to say exactly as I said in the spoiler-free. I'm going to just give this a good flick bargain, because I was not wowed in the same manner as I had been done with the 99 Brendan Fraser movie, because I think Stephen Sommers was the right guy to be able to tell that particular story, especially at the end of the 90s when technology, particularly in movies, were really starting to come into their own. He had the right cast, the right script, and, he had that vision to be able to bring the Mummy to life in the way that he wanted it done. Would he have necessarily done the same thing for this? That's up to your interpretation, because I think with something like this, if he had come in to do it again, would he have made it as fresh as he had done, again, with the 99 movie? I honestly couldn't tell you, because I think he would have tried to make it a little too similar, but that's just my take on the whole thing. I think for what this movie was, it was entertaining. It wasn't mesmerizing. It wasn't something that left a taste in my mouth that made me want more. I mean, I'll definitely pre-order this thing once the pre-order dates come up. But it's not going to be one of those situations where, like in 2008, I went to watch the first Iron Man movie 5 times within the space of a month and a half. And then you're probably asking, why on earth would you do that? It's like, I've been an over-the-top, eccentric, charismatic moviegoer since as long as I can remember. What did you expect me to do? Seriously. If a movie is that good to make you watch it once, it's good enough to make you watch it multiple times. And, 5 times was my personal record back then, but I heard stories from 97, 98, where one girl in Spain went to watch Titanic once a week. And you know what you're about to say is like, wow, I thought you were eccentric. You get proven wrong on occasion, but it is what it is. So, again, I'm sticking with Good Flip Bargain because there were a lot of problems with regards to not necessarily so much the writing, but it was just the tone of the way it was going. But in terms of cinematography and the casting and the performances, if it hadn't been for the inconsistency of the tone, I would have put this up to, dang, that was good. But because this movie has such an identity crisis, to such a point where you're questioning what is going to happen next, it's an average movie, but it was definitely worth the price of admission that I went and paid for this. And the 3D was decent for what I saw of it. I don't know where this is going to go, because Universal really want to invest a lot of time and money into this, considering this is going to be their cinematic universe, golden egg, golden baby, call it what you will. But I think for the Bride of Frankenstein that they're going to do in the next 2 years, I think they really need to address tone, direction, and writing. I know that I said writing was decent enough, but again, the tone. If they had been able to fix the problems with that, this movie would have easily been a dang, that was good. But it is what it is. I do recommend you go watch this, but I'm just going to simply say go in with an open mind, because your thoughts, feelings, and interpretation may be vastly different to mine, and, that's the way it is. But until then, folks, this is MJ Knight saying good night from the night.